Wu Yuan was startled. This operation actually got 100,000 soft sister coins. I have to say that Wu Yuan has gained a lot. Not only rescued the old lady, but also got a large bonus. Of course, I'm a little tired, but I'm in a good mood. Fortunately, there were no other patients in urgent need of surgery on this day, and Wu Yuan went home on time after get off work smoothly. Wu Yuan checked his bank account at the ATM by the way, and now the money in the account is close to 3 million soft sister coins. Wu Yuan felt that he could buy a car another day. Wu Yuan never thought that this life would be so smooth. It was different when he became a system host. He would have a car and a house so soon. Thinking of this, Wu Yuan actually felt a little melancholy. The last 10 years in my last life were not easy. Although it can be regarded as a firm foothold in the imperial capital, life is definitely not easy. He found several girlfriends, but none of them could be brought back for marriage. The main reason is that there is no house in the imperial capital. The job is not so stable. Later, Wu Yuan regretted it. He should not have quit his job as a doctor. Wu Yuan made up his mind, since God gave him a chance, he will work hard in this life, roll up his sleeves and work hard. I can no longer live in such a daze like my previous life. The next day, Wu Yuan went to work as usual early in the morning. When the morning was not busy, Wu Yuan ran to the hospital's pharmacy to sign in. System sign in successfully and get advanced body function enhancement capsule *1. Oh. Not bad. Advanced things are generally good things. Wu Yuan quickly looked at the description of the medicine, and sure enough, it was quite unexpected. Advanced body function enhancement capsules. After taking it, it can improve physical fitness, including physical strength, endurance, reaction ability and other indicators. Range of efficacy, very large. Effective time, permanent. Sure enough, this is really good stuff. Permanently effective medicines, of course, must be eaten first. Wu Yuan went to the bathroom again, found a clean pit, and took out the advanced body function enhancement capsule from the dimensional space. Good guy, only one capsule, so precious. Wu Yuan was worried that if he accidentally dropped the capsule into the pit, he would lose a lot. Thinking of this, Wu Yuan quickly put the capsule into his mouth. Don't even drink water, just dry your throat. After he vomited down smoothly, Wu Yuan's medicinal power came up. A force was generated from the abdomen, probably the navel, and spread throughout the body. This feeling didn't last long and returned to normal after a while. Wu Yuan moved his body a bit, and he really felt that it was different, but he couldn't tell exactly what was different. Wu Yuan returned to the office, and Zhao Qin walked over not long after he sat down. Zhao Qin, Xiao Wu, come here. Wu Yuan let out an "ah" and followed Zhao Qin out of the office to a corner of the corridor. When Zhao Qin called Wu Yuan here, there must be something important to say. Zhao Qin, it's like this, next week we'll arrange for you guys to take an exam, but it doesn't have to be which day. Wu Yuan was stunned. Exam? What? Zhao Qin, according to the performance in the exam, which one of you can get the quota? Wu Yuan suddenly realized. It turns out that, in the final analysis, it is still a matter of skill. Wu Yuan, what format is such an exam? You don't have to do questions, do you? Zhao Qin laughed and said, where do you want to go? The format of the exam is not necessarily the same, but you are a surgeon, most of which are related to surgery. Wu Yuan, okay, I will prepare well. Zhao Qin, you don't need to take it too seriously, just be mentally prepared. Wu Yuan, understood. Zhao Qin nodded, go get busy. Wu Yuan returned to the office and sat in his seat. At this moment, Fang Yangyang came over and asked, are there any pliers? Wu Yuan, what are you doing? Tooth extraction. Fang Yangyang said angrily, yes, I want to pull your teeth out. Wu Yuan, I don't care, my teeth are very good, known as iron teeth and bronze teeth. Fong Yangyang threw something over. Okay, you can help me bite it off. Wu Yuan saw that it was a walnut. Wu Yuan picked it up and pinched it. Snapped. The walnut was actually beaten by Wu Yuan. Fong Yangyang was startled. Wow, Dr. Wu, you are strong enough. Not to mention Fong Yangyang, Wu Yuan was taken aback. It was only then that Wu Yuan remembered that it was estimated that this was the effect of taking the Advanced Body Function Enhancement Capsule. The power has increased several times. Good guy, it will be convenient to eat walnuts in the future. You don't need any walnut tongs, you can just pinch them with your hands. Just a bit of a waste of fingers. In the next few days, Wu Yuan continued to check in at work and worked hard. Zhao Qin told Wu Yuan about the preparation of the exam before, but he didn't take it too seriously. Wu Yuan really didn't take it to heart, he almost forgot about it and forgot about it. Until Wednesday, Zhao Qin suddenly found Wu Yuan. Wu Yuan was still writing medical records at this time, and he was writing on his head. Zhao Qin, leave the work at hand, come with me, and sit for an operation in a while. Wu Yuan made an "oh" and walked out after Zhao Qin. Director Zhao, what's the condition of the patient? Zhao Qin, cholecystitis is diagnosed, and cholecystectomy is enough. The specific situation depends on the intraoperative examination. At this time, Wu Yuan found that Zhao Qin was going in the wrong direction. Wu Yuan, Director Zhao, isn't the emergency operating room here? Zhao Qin, not in the emergency operating room this time, go to the number 2 general surgery room on the 3rd floor. Wu Yuan was stunned, and suddenly understood. This time it's up to you to decide whether you can get the prepared exam or not. Zhao Qin patted Wu Yuan on the shoulder. Xiao Wu, play well, don't have any psychological pressure, it's alright, no, there will be another time. Wu Yuan nodded, feeling a little moved in his heart. Zhao Qin's problem with Wu Yuan's organization can be regarded as painstaking. This point, Wu Yuan can still feel it. In fact, Zhao Qin has paid a lot more than Wu Yuan. At the last meeting, Zhao Qin openly contradicted Vice President Wang Jinlu for Wu Yuan's affairs, which is considered a major taboo in the workplace. Of course, Zhao Qin was the deputy chief physician, and he was also a surgeon, so he was considered second in command in the hospital. Counting Sun Jianzhong, the director of general surgery, Zhao Qin can be said to be the second in command of the hospital's surgery. Zhao Qin's status in the affiliated hospital of Yanda University is still relatively high, and the vice president really can't move her. At most, I can only find an opportunity to put on small shoes for Zhao Qin, and make her sick. And not too disgusting. Zhao Qin is young and capable, and many hospitals are rushing for it. Not to mention anything else, if you go to the imperial capital, any private hospital can offer Zhao Qin an annual salary of 1 or 2 million soft sister coins, which is only the basic salary. If Zhao Qin hadn't had feelings for the affiliated hospital of Yanda University, he would have gone out to make a lot of money long ago. At this time, Zhao Qin said again, by the way, this time, there will be experts from the outer court to come and watch. Wu Yuan was stunned, this battle is quite big. Zhao Qin, anyway, you don't need to care about these things, just focus on the patient and do your best to complete the operation. What Zhao Qin said is indeed the kingly way. Although the technique of the surgeon is important, the psychological quality is actually more important. With no distractions, specializing in treating illnesses and saving people is responsible for the patient, but also for yourself. In fact, Wu Yuan has already surpassed ordinary people in this aspect. As the saying goes, if you have no desire, you will be strong. Although Wu Yuan also wanted to get the system, it was not so urgent. Zhao Qin, you don't have to worry about it. The second surgeon is an old doctor with experience in cholecystectomy. Wu Yuan smiled and thanked, Director Zhao, then I can rest assured. Even if I stab a hole in the sky, someone will bear it. Zhao Qin laughed and scolded, "Okay, you, just don't poke holes in the patient." In a blink of an eye, the two reached the third floor, the dressing room of the number 2 operating room. Wu Yuan put on a sterile surgical gown, put on gloves, and entered the operating room. At the same time, Zhao Qin also entered the observation room of general surgery, and some bigwigs in the medical field sat in attendance. Tian Hongchun, the president of the affiliated hospital of Yanda University, Wang Jinlu and Gao Minsheng, the vice presidents, and Sun Jianzhong, Yan Buiyuan, Lu Dazhu and others from the general surgery department were all present at the scene. In addition, there are 3 expert leaders from outside the hospital. Kong Mo, a surgeon at the Second People's Hospital of Yanjiang. Zhu Qianfeng, the vice president of the North 603 Hospital. The other is Shen Feiqian, director of neurosurgery at Yanjiang Dongqing Hospital. That's right, this Shen Feiqian is really that Shen Feiqian. Because Wu Yuan performed emergency surgery on the old lady that day, Shen Feiqian had a relationship. Shen Feiqian was invited by Wang Jinlu. Shen Feiqian is not only a surgeon of Yanjiang Dongqing Hospital, but also one of the directors of the Municipal Doctors Association. He has been in a relationship with Wang Jinlu for many years. It is normal to invite him here. The specialists invited were all inclined towards surgery. This is because today it is the surgeon who takes the preparation and implementation exam. There were 3 people in total, besides Wu Yuan and Chao Jigang, there was also a young man named Wang Jiang. Wang Jiang is also a doctor of general surgery, and his popularity is far less than that of Chao Jigang. 3 people were in 3 operating rooms. In the observation room, there are also 3 screens to see what is going on in each operating room. At a glance, it is quite convenient. Zhu Qianfeng, President Tian, the affiliated hospital of Yanda University is really full of talents. It's not easy to have a young surgeon. You have 3 this time. I'm really envious. Tian Hongchun quickly waved his hand, "Old Zhu, stop joking, our hospital is really nothing, it can't compare to you." In fact, everyone knows that an old fritter like Zhu Qianfeng means a scene. The affiliated hospital of Yanda University is not ranked among the hospitals in Yanjiang City. Although the hardware conditions are acceptable, the medical resources are far from sufficient. If nothing else, compared with the hospital where the 3 experts were invited, it was nothing compared to it. Yanjiang Second Hospital, Beifang 603 Hospital, and Yanjiang Dongqing Hospital, these 3 hospitals are either second-class or third-class hospitals. At this time, Shen Feiqian said, "Don't tell me, I came to Yanda affiliated a few days ago and met a very powerful surgeon, and that doctor was quite young." Tian Hongchun and others were stunned. Shen Feiqian came to Yanda affiliate. These people don't know at all. Shen Feiqian is one of the directors of the Municipal Doctors Association, and he is a person of status. Even if he knows that he is here, even President Tian Hongchun has to receive him politely. "Tian Hongchun, Director Shen, why didn't you say anything when you came over?" "We don't know." Mu Jinlu, "Yeah, I have to invite you to dinner anyway." Gao Minsheng, "By the way, Director Shen, what are you here for?" Shen Feiqian waved his hand, "Hey, it's a long story, don't mention it." Since Shen Feiqian didn't want to talk about it, no one was ignorant to ask. Shen Feiqian was also worried about causing trouble to the young surgeon. That time Shen Feiqian left in a hurry, and he didn't even ask the name of the young surgeon, and he regretted it a little later. That surgeon was indeed a talent, and Shen Feiqian really had the urge to recruit him under his command. However, the flow of personnel between public hospitals is not so simple. Unlike private hospitals, you can dig each other casually. At this time, Sun Jianzhong asked, "Director Shen, who is the outstanding surgeon you mentioned?" Shen Feiqian, "Yo, what a pity, I didn't bother to ask when I was in a hurry." Sun Jianzhong let out an "oh," slightly disappointed. If it was Chao Jigang, it would be easy to say. At this point, the 3 monitors showed that the 3 operating rooms were basically ready. The chief surgeons all stood at the chief surgeon's position. Surgical gowns and surgical caps, the chief surgeon all looked the same. Shen Feichen couldn't recognize Wu Yuan as the young surgeon he met last time on the monitor screen. These 3 operations are real operations, not fake scenes specially used for exams. It was deliberately chosen, the difficulty of the operation is basically the same, and they are all cholecystectomy. In this season, it is indeed the season of high incidence of cholecystitis, and it is not difficult to get 3 patients to have surgery on the same day. Before the operation, Wu Yuan looked at the patient's various test films, as well as the laboratory test sheet, and he had a general idea. It is indeed a relatively common cholecystitis, and the operation is very good. Wu Yuan's mentality is very relaxed and there is no pressure. Simple cholecystectomy is not a difficult operation, it is a secondary operation, and the situation is not complicated. Generally speaking, it can be completed in half an hour. Wu Yuan is very good at this operation. The simple cholecystectomy has reached level 7, which can be said to be among the masters. The second chief surgeon standing opposite Wu Yuan was Wu Yuan's old colleague in general surgery, named Tian Bai. Tian Bai is in his 30s, and his level is good. He is especially good at cholecystectomy. If something goes wrong, he can pick it up. In fact, if it works normally, there is basically no problem. In this regard, Wu Yuan is still confident. Wu Yuan, Dr. Tian, I'm ready to start. Tian Bai nodded. Tian Bai's impression of Wu Yuan is actually very general, and he feels that he is a person who has no talent and is not very diligent. Wu Yuan glanced at the monitor, and the patient's physical signs were normal. Wu Yuan, at 10:05, laparoscopic cholecystectomy begins. Tian Bai was a little surprised. Unexpectedly, Wu Yuan would choose laparoscopic cholecystectomy. Laparoscopy is a new technology that only requires a very small incision on the patient's abdomen, with minimal damage to the patient and faster recovery. However, laparoscopy is not easy to operate, and requires a lot of practice to use it well. Ordinary novice surgeons would rather use ordinary large-scale invasive procedures than laparoscopy. It's not that I don't want to use it, it's that I can't play it at all. In Tian Bai's impression, Wu Yuan is unlikely to master the use of laparoscopy, because when he was in general surgery, Wu Yuan never practiced it, let alone actually used it on stage. Wu Yuan only has 2 or 3 months to go to the emergency department, so he won't make rapid progress in such a short period of time. However, seeing that Wu Yuan is very courageous now, he asked the nurse to push the laparoscopic equipment over. Wu Yuan, number 3 scalpel. With the scalpel in hand, Wu Yuan started to move. A small arc-shaped incision is made above the patient's navel. Tian Bai's eyes widened in surprise. Just this moment, it is very obvious. This Wu Yuan's level is good. The use of the scalpel is very skilled, and the incision is very standard. The standard can't be more standard. Then Wu Yuan punctured the patient's abdominal cavity with a pneumoperitoneum needle through a small incision and filled with carbon dioxide gas. Wu Yuan turned his head and glanced at the laparoscope screen. Fill 15 units of gas, and a gas film will form. Wu Yuan pulled out the pneumoperitoneum needle, punctured the abdominal cavity with a trocar, pulled out the inner core, and then inserted the laparoscope. After this series of actions, Tian Bai was stunned. Who would have thought that Wu Yuan would be so proficient in using the abdominal cavity, that he would just slap Tian Bai in the face? At this point, Wu Yuan had already started to operate based on the images of the laparoscope. Wu Yuan's action once again surprised Tian Bai. No, to be precise, continuous surprise. The trocar inserted into the patient's abdomen was like a part of Wu Yuan's body. Wu Yuan, find the location of the lesion and prepare to remove it. Tian Bai was stunned. How long did it take to complete the steps of excision? At the same time, in the observation room, everyone was staring at the screen to observe the situation. Kong Yimou pointed to one of the screens and said, that surgeon is very skilled. Everyone turned to the screen Kong Mo was looking at. Zhao Qin's face was overjoyed, and the doctor everyone was looking at was really Wu Yuan. Wu Yuan's movements are quite fast, and his movements can be clearly seen in the picture. Most of you present are veteran surgeons, and the level of a surgeon can be judged from their actions. Although the situation in the operating room is viewed through the monitor, it is also possible to judge the stage of the operation through the movement. In contrast, the progress of Chao Jigang and Wang Jiang will be much slower. Zhu Qianfeng, it's really good. You can see that his movements are very smooth, very old, and he doesn't look like a rookie at all. Kong Mo nodded, I think this doctor should perform more than 100 surgeries. Sun Jianzhong's face was a little ugly. Originally, Sun Jianzhong had no opinion on Wu Yuan, but now for some psychological reasons, he really can't see Wu Yuan any better. First, Wu Yuan went out of the general surgery department. After arriving at the emergency department, Wu Yuan seemed to be enlightened suddenly, like a divine help. This made Sun Jianzhong very annoyed and felt that Wu Yuan had tricked him. Second, it's not because Dong Jigang was promoted by Sun Jianzhong. Wu Yuan is Dong Jigang's direct competitor again, so he can only go to Dong Jigang psychologically. To Sun Jianzhong's relief, at this time Dong Jigang was still carrying out the operation in an orderly manner, although the speed was slower than Wu Yuan, but there was no omission. For an operation, speed is indeed one of the indicators, but it is not the only indicator. The stability and standardization of the operation process are the most important. Wu Yuan seems to be fast, not necessarily better than Dong Jigang. At this moment, Shen Feichen said, this person is really of a high level, very similar to the young man I met last time. Zhao Qin was stunned, and immediately asked, Director Shen, which department did you meet? Shen Feichen, Emergency Department. When everyone heard it, they finally understood. It is estimated that Shen Feichen met Wu Yuan. Zhao Qin said happily, the one you are looking at is Dr. Wu Yuanwu from our emergency department. He is a very good young man, very diligent and talented. Shen Feichen suddenly realized, I said, no wonder I think his surgical movements are familiar, it really is him. Shen Feichen said jokingly, there is no such talent in the establishment. Isn't this a waste of money? Shen Feichen's speech was relatively straightforward, but fortunately, his tone was not so serious, otherwise, Dean Tian Hongchunchen would definitely not be able to hang his face. Wang Jinlu was also not very comfortable. Objectively speaking, Shen Feichen is right, Wu Yuan's operations are indeed worthy of the previous compilation. But Dong Jigang is not bad, but the speed is slightly slower. In fact, this is also very easy to understand, it shows that Dong Jigang is still very serious. And it is slow, but it is obviously faster than another young Dr. Wang Jiang. Wang Jinlu felt that there was still hope of winning. At this moment, everyone suddenly saw something very wrong. For some unknown reason, Wu Yuan suddenly stopped moving. Zhu Qianfeng asked strangely, what is he doing? Why not continue? Shen Feichen shook his head, expressing that he was not clear. I saw that Wu Yuan had been staring at the display screen of the laparoscope, and the monitor here could not see a clearer picture. Sun Jianzhong, I probably don't know what to do next. Emergencies often occur during surgery. It depends on whether the experience of the surgeon is sufficient. Experienced surgeons can adapt to the situation and find a way to deal with it right away. For example, a relatively inexperienced surgeon can only learn and familiarize himself with the steps by watching the video recordings of the operation, and it is difficult to find a way to deal with emergencies. It seems that Wu Yuan has encountered a problem. Zhao Qin was a little anxious, thinking, isn't this a relatively common cholecystitis? With Wu Yuan's strength, there is no way that there will be any problems. At the same time, in the number 2 operating room, Wu Yuan did encounter a difficult matter, and then stopped further actions. Tian Bai felt strange and asked, what's the matter? Haven't you already had it removed? Just deal with it right away, and you'll be fine. Wu Yuan shook his head and replied, look here. Tian Bai glanced at the screen of the laparoscope and didn't see any problem, but when he took a closer look, he showed a look of surprise. Tian Bai, you mean, this is cancerous? Wu Yuan nodded, it's an early-stage cancer. Now that this piece is removed, it shouldn't be a big problem. Tian Bai, but in this case, that cancerous location is not easy to cut out and requires a very high level of scalpel operation. And laparoscopy is obviously not good, the incision must be enlarged, and the hand can be directly removed. In other words, the difficulty has increased, and not just a little bit more. Tian Bai has done many gallbladder-related operations, but he still feels uncertain about such a cancerous situation, so Sun Jinzhong can usually only do it himself. The most sensible thing for Wu Yuan now is to close the cavity immediately and complete the laparoscopic cholecystectomy. As for the problem of cancerous tissue, it can be left to Sun Jinzhong to solve it. In this case, Wu Yuan should win the compilation exam and have a good chance to get the compilation. However, Wu Yuan pondered for a moment, then raised his head and said, remove the laparoscope and switch to open surgery. Tian Bai, what? Are you sure? It's better to close the cavity first, and then perform a second surgery to remove it. Wu Yuan, if it is not removed decisively this time, then a second operation will be required. The damage will be too great for the patient, and it will be very troublesome to recover. It is better if one operation can completely solve the problem. Tian Bai was speechless for a moment, and immediately said, but do you know how difficult this operation is? Wu Yuan, I can handle it. Wu Yuan said solemnly, it was found that there was cancer in the second half of the gallbladder, so I decided to convert laparoscopic surgery to open surgery and perform cholecystectomy. Wu Yuan, the time is now 10:28, the operation begins. It was only then that Tian Bai realized that the operation time had only passed 20 minutes. I didn't expect Wu Yuan's speed to be so fast. Wu Yuan's next action shocked the people in the observation room. Tian Hongchun asked suspiciously, what is he going to do? Is he going to reopen his abdomen? Sun Jianzhong frowned, that's not right, what happened to Wu Yuan? How could he do this? Tian Bai is also true, why didn't you stop him? Zhao Qin was restless and didn't understand why Wu Yuan suddenly withdrew the laparoscope and went to open the abdomen again. Such an operation is dangerous. Tian Hongchun, Director Sun, go have a look, don't let him mess around. Sun Jianzhong was refreshed, stood up and was about to go out. At this moment, Shen Feiqian, who was silent, suddenly said, no, this Dr. Wu seems to have made a new discovery to have such a reaction. Shen Feiqian's words made everyone else stunned. Sun Jianzhong stopped and looked back at Shen Feiqian. Sun Jianzhong said, Director Shen, what do you say? This is a very common and simple cholecystitis, and there should be no major problems. Shen Feiqian pondered for a while and said, let's look through the medical records again, and we may find something. Shen Feiqian is one of the directors of the Medical Doctor Association, and his words still carry weight. Sun Jianzhong had to turn over the patient's medical record again. From it, the medical records of Wu Yuan's patient were found. There are various films and laboratory reports in the medical records. Shen Feiqian pulled out De Shenghua's list, glanced at it, and said with a smile, if you see it, there really is a problem. When everyone heard it, they all gathered around. They are very curious, what is the problem with ordinary cholecystitis patients? Shen Feiqian pointed to the list of De Shenghua and explained, look, direct bilirubin and indirect bilirubin are a little high, and lactate dehydrogenase is a little lower, although it is not very obvious. It is not easy to see, but there is a high probability that this situation will occur at the same time. At this time, Lu Dazhu brought De Shenghua's list over. He is a physician in internal medicine, and should be more experienced in the indicators of macrobiology. Lu Daju, oh. It's really like this. Everyone is a big boss in the medical world. When Shen Feichen pointed it out, he had already guessed a possibility. The patient's gallbladder may have precancerous changes. Zhao Qin immediately said, yes. Let me just say, Wu Yuan has always been very reliable, and it is impossible to suddenly change the surgical method. He must have seen the cancerous situation through laparoscopy, so he thought about taking the cancerous tissue together. Resection. Sun Jianzhong couldn't help but retort, is this possible? Doesn't Wu Yuan know his level? How can this be a situation that he can solve once? Sun Jianzhong pointed to the monitor screen and said loudly, if the patient's operation takes too long, the risk will increase. Can he bear this responsibility? Zhao Qin replied unconvinced, since Wu Yuan chooses to do this, it means that he is sure. Sun Jianzhong, he is a little doctor, what can you be sure of? Director Zhao, are you kidding me? At this moment, Shen Feichen said, I think he is sure. Sun Jianzhong, Director Shen, you don't know, this Wu Yuan is not very reliable. Shen Feichen waved his hand and interrupted Sun Jianzhong's words, he should have plenty of time now, let's watch first. Shen Feichen witnessed Wu Yuan's surgical level with his own eyes, and felt that he was competent for such a cholecystectomy without any problem. At the same time, Wu Yuan didn't know that there was such a big dispute in the observation room because of his actions, but concentrated on the operation. Since it is necessary to switch from laparoscopic to open surgery, another incision has to be made. Wu Yuan made a knife on the patient's right lower abdomen, on the edge of the rib, and slashed it. This is an incision about 20 centimeters long, and Tian Bai stared at it beside him. I didn't expect that Wu Yuan's scalpel technique would be so skilled and stable. Tian Bai admitted that he could not make such a perfect incision, and there was almost no blood, only a small amount of oozing blood. This means that the capillaries were not damaged. Wu Yuan said, the incision is completed, and the abdominal cavity will be explored. Wu Yuan reached in and quickly found the common bile duct, hepatic artery, and portal vein. Wu Yuan operated all the way in an orderly manner. In the observation room, almost all eyes were on Wu Yuan's operation. Zhu Qianfeng, the speed is so fast, this guy is really good. Kong Mo, I changed the operation plan midway, and I don't seem to have any impression of him. This psychological quality should be praised first. Seeing this, Sun Jianzhong couldn't help but say, I still think that Dr. Wu should be more secure, and at least he should discuss it with the second chief surgeon. A surgeon should really focus on being safe, and never operate on a patient by luck. That is extremely irresponsible. Shen Feichen said with a smile, look at his actions, there is no reluctance at all, which shows that he is confident and confident. Sun Jianzhong opened his mouth but did not speak. In this situation, if Sun Jianzhong said anything sarcastic, it would seem too out of place. Shen Feichen, Wu Yuan, this young man is really good, he is a malleable talent. Zhao Qin, I think so too, so I pushed him up because I didn't want such a person to be buried. Shen Fei Temple turned to look at Zhao Qin and said with a smile, it won't be buried. At this level, everyone wants it everywhere. Shen Feichen has something to say. Tian Hongchun hurriedly said, Director Shen, don't use any crooked minds, we have to train them well. Shen Feichen laughed out loud without saying a word. At this time, Chao Jigang and Wang Jiang had completed the operation one after another and announced that the operation was successful. After the operation, they also came to the observation room. Chao Jigang took a look and saw that there was no Wu Yuan. Looking at the monitor again, Wu Yuan was still doing surgery there. Good guy, co-authoring this guy isn't done yet. This kid is too sad. Isn't it very popular, how can it be so slow to do a cholecystectomy? Chao Jigang felt that he was completely stable, and he must have crushed that stinky boy Wu Yuan to the ground. At this time, Chao Jigang was about to report to the big guys, but found that they didn't pay attention to themselves at all, and they all watched Wu Yuan perform the operation. Chao Jigang leaned over and said, "Why is Dr. Wu so slow?" Everyone glanced at him without saying a word, then turned to look at the monitor. Chao Jigang was stunned. What happened to these people? Why ignore him? At this moment, Zhao Qin suddenly said, "It's done, it looks like a great success." Shen Feichen clapped his hands. "Not bad, not only is the ability to adapt to changes, but also the surgical level and psychological quality can stand the test. I think Wu Yuan is the strongest among the three." Chao Jigang glared his eyes like bull's eyes, his expression was distorted, and he almost lost his fragrance. He, Chao Jigang, had the surgery done first. Why do you say that Wu Yuan is the strongest among them? Is this Director Shen a blind man? Chao Jigang, I. At this time, Wang Lujin reached out to stop Chao Jigang from going on. At this time, it is better to be a low-key little doctor. After Wu Yuan completed the operation, he announced the results, and then said to Tian Bai, "Brother Tian, thank you." Tian Bai breathed a sigh of relief. "Wu Yuan, you can, how long did you leave the general surgery department? How did you practice?" Wu Yuan, "Hey, the more you do it, the more familiar it is. Practice makes perfect. Brother Tian, I'm going to change my clothes. I'm sweating all over my body, and I'm sick to death." Tian Bai was speechless for a while, still unable to understand. How many cholecystectomy operations can someone like Wu Yuan perform in the emergency department? It's not logical. Wu Yuan walked out of the operating room and saw that the door of the observation room was also opened, and the big guys came out one by one. Zhao Qin secretly gave Wu Yuan a thumbs up, expressing praise. This pancreatectomy was done for more than an hour, and another surgical plan was changed in the middle. Normally, Wu Yuan should be very tired. But now Wu Yuan doesn't feel tired, as if he is still very strong, which is completely different from before. It was only then that Wu Yuan remembered that he had taken the capsules to strengthen his system, and his current physical condition was not what it used to be. When Wu Yuan saw Shen Feichen, he couldn't help being stunned. "Isn't this the director of the Municipal Medical Association? I didn't expect to meet this big guy here." Shen Feichen came over and patted Wu Yuan on the shoulder. "You can do it, young man. The performance is so stable, it's a talent." Wu Yuan hurriedly said a few words of humility and said that he was lucky. Of course, he did not forget to bring Zhao Qin with him. "Wu Yuan, the main thing is that Director Zhao has high demands on me, so I have to work hard." Zhao Qin glanced at Wu Yuan, but didn't say anything. In addition to Shen Feichen, Zhu Qianfeng and Kong Mo, two experts invited from the outer court, were full of praise for Wu Yuan. "Zhu Qianfeng, it's really rare. It's very safe to do surgery at such a young age. This is a good quality for a surgeon." Kong Mo was not so full of words because of Wang Jinlu's face, but he was also inside and out, and pointed out that Wu Yuan was indeed the best performer among the three. Dong Jigang's face turned purple when he heard it beside him, and there was a lot of sourness. The pancreatectomy he performed was also okay. Dong Jigang felt good about himself, and he was the first to finish it. Dong Jigang doesn't understand now, why is everyone praising Wu Yuan? Did he Dong Jigang miss something? Anyway, this so-called exam, the rankings of 1, 2, and 3 have come out, and there is no suspense at all. Of course, in the end, it's up to the big guys to go back and score to be sure. Seeing that what was said was almost done, Wu Yuan said to a few big bosses, said goodbye and left. As for the directors and the experts from the outer courtyard, there is still a small meeting to sit together. They followed 3 operations with their own eyes, so they had to summarize it anyway. After Wu Yuan returned to the office, he was immediately surrounded. Fang Yangyang, Yu Lin, Chen Yujia, Feng Qin and others were chatting around asking questions. "Yu Lin, how is it? didn't you screw up the operation? Fong Yang, what are you thinking? Can Master Wu screw up? Let me tell you, Master Wu's surgery is as easy as breathing. Wu Yuan glanced at Fong Yang, this little girl is too embarrassed, should she be beaten? Qin Yujia was also very curious. She has a very good relationship with Wu Yuan, of course I hope Wu Yuan can get the system. Feng Qing just joins in the fun, and at the same time trusts Wu Yuan very much. Since Wu Yuan arrived at the emergency department, apart from the two directors, there is really no more reliable doctor than him. Much stronger than Zhou Changjun. In fact, the nurses in the emergency department generally have a good impression of Wu Yuan. Wu Yuan is not as cold as other doctors, he speaks witty and easygoing, and there is no pressure to communicate with him. Faced with these messy questions, Wu Yuan waved his hands. I don't know, I just finished the operation anyway, and I don't know anything else. When everyone heard it, the co-authoring was a question and 3 questions. At this time, Zhou Changjun got up from his seat, walked over, and said slowly, I advise you to give up your fantasies. No, I'm telling you to give up your fantasies, you won't be able to get the system. The you that Zhou Changjun said was not Wu Yuan or who. After speaking, Zhou Changjun opened the door lightly and went out. Fong Yang was startled, then said, where did Dr. Zhou go? Wu Yuan, it should be to shush. Fong Yang glanced at Wu Yuan, Dr. Wu, why are you so locomotive? Wu Yuan, where are you from? This morning, Wu Yuan was 20 minutes late as usual. When Wu Yuan nervously pushed the door and entered the office, he found that neither Zhao Qin nor Yan Weiyuan were there. There were only 2 or 3 cats and dogs in the office. Wu Yuan breathed a sigh of relief and sat down. Wu Yuan turned his head and asked Fong Yang, it's so dangerous, and I escaped again. Fong Yang, cut, just do it. Sooner or later you will be scolded. Wu Yuan, what did I do? I was studying medical books last night, and I slept too late. Wu Yuan's reason was very good, leaving Fong Yang speechless for a while. Wu Yuan's current home is very close to the hospital, but the closer it is, the more lazy Wu Yuan feels, and he always wants to sleep in, so he is often late. Just then, the door opened. The 2 directors Yan Weiyuan and Zhao Qin walked in. The 2 stood in the middle, as if they were going to have a meeting. Yan Weiyuan, everyone, stop what you're doing, I'm going to announce something next. Everyone raised their heads and looked at Yan Weiyuan, not knowing what he was going to announce. Yan Weiyuan, everyone has performed very well recently, and Wu Yuan's performance is the most outstanding, which is obvious to all. Wu Yuan was stunned, where did the sun rise from? Not only did he not scold Wu Yuan, but he also praised him. Yan Weiyuan, so, in order to reward Wu Yuan's outstanding performance, the hospital specially gave Wu Yuan the opportunity to become a full-time physician and become an internal physician in the hospital. When everyone heard this, they were all shocked, dumbfounded. Including Wu Yuan, even he thought it was incredible. He originally thought that even if the results were announced, it would take a while, but who knew it would be announced the next day? This speed is too fast. Is it a decision made overnight? What is even more incredible is Zhou Changjun. Yesterday, he said that Wu Yuan had no role in his organization. Today, he was slapped a few times by reality, and his mouth was big. After Yan Weiyuan made the announcement, he said to Wu Yuan, Xiao Wu, you can't be proud, you have to keep pushing. Wu Yuan stood up and said, Director Yan, Director Zhao, rest assured, I will continue to work hard and create greater glories. After Wu Yuan's meeting, Fong Yang patted Wu Yuan's face. Wu Yuan, what are you doing? I tell you, don't play exile, men and women can't get along. Fong Yang, virtue, I'm afraid you will faint with joy. Look, your face freezes. Wu Yuan, don't make trouble, if I pass out, you have to give me artificial respiration. Fong Yang, you think beautifully. No one does it for you. Wu Yuan, some people are rushing to do it. The two fought for a while and then started working again. To be honest, although Wu Yuan didn't pay much attention to this kind of thing recently, he was really excited about it. It's not because the salary is high and he can make more money, but this is also a recognition of Wu Yuan's medical skills, indicating that his level can already stand alone. After leaving get off work that day, Wu Yuan was stopped by Fang Yangyang, Yu Lin and others. Wu Yuan, what are you doing? Fang Yangyang, robbery. Wu Yuan, Jiao Sei or robbery? I only have color. Fang Yangyang moved his lips but did not say why. Yu Lin, stop talking nonsense. Don't try to run away today, treat yourself. Wu Yuan was speechless for a while, it seemed that he could only spend money today. That night, Wu Yuan, of course, was the guests of the banquet. In addition to the colleagues from the emergency department, he also called all the good colleagues from the general surgery department. There are always more than a dozen people. Everyone found a restaurant with a good reputation nearby and had a big meal. It's not over yet, the big guys haven't had enough fun, so they went to show their loud singing voices. After a crazy night, some people left first because they had to go to work the next day, and those who stayed were on shifts the next day. Tired of singing and singing, everyone gathered together to play cards and played all night long. Wu Yuan's physique has undergone tremendous changes. The night passed and I didn't feel tired. After everyone else was gone, seeing Chen Yujia seemed to be unable to hold on anymore. He suggested that Chen Yujia go to his house to rest, lest anything happen in the middle. Of course Chen Yujia agreed. After all, Wu Yuan's house is quite big and has many rooms. Chen Yujia slept for 2 hours, recovered her spirits, and played new-style poker with Wu Yuan for a long time before leaving. Wu Yuan turned positive. This incident is not a big deal in the hospital, but for the emergency department, the impact is still not small. There are only a few doctors in the emergency department. Except for Yan Buiyuan and Zhao Qin, all the other small doctors were contract workers of Ishui. This was the case for Wu Yuan, Zhou Changjun, and Yu Lin. Later, another intern came, namely Fang Yangyang. Now that Wu Yuan has obtained the establishment, it means that he has become the third official doctor of the emergency department. Wu Yuan's status has risen. On this day, the emergency department was very calm. There was nothing to do in the morning. Basically, I was busy with my own affairs, writing medical records, and checking data. Zhao Qin pushed the door and came in. Zhao Qin, everyone, stop for a while and have a small meeting. This small meeting is only attended by doctors, which is obviously aimed at doctors. Zhao Qin, everyone knows that Wu Yuan's establishment has come down. He is now the official doctor in the hospital. After everyone heard it, their expressions were different. Some are smiling, some are dazed and envious, and some are full of jealousy and hatred. Zhao Qin, Director Yan and I discussed it. If the two of us are not in the emergency department in the future, then Wu Yuan can coordinate all the doctors. Everyone was stunned for a while. This is the rhythm of Wu Yuan's promotion, which is equivalent to the third general manager. Zhao Qin, in addition, Zhou Changjun, Yu Lin, and Fang Yangyang, if anyone wants to develop into surgery, you can talk to me or Wu Yuan. If I'm not around, Wu Yuan can provide guidance. Zhao Qin looked at Wu Yuan, Dr. Wu, you have to pay more attention, don't focus on your own progress, but try to train as many talents as possible in the emergency department. What else could Wu Yuan say? Of course he responded, and even said that there was no problem, and it was wrapped around him. Of course, Wu Yuan only thinks that this is a beautiful word, and it is their own business whether to learn it or not. After the meeting, Fang Yangyang whispered to Wu Yuan, Dr. Wu, you are going to soar into the sky. Wu Yuan tapped Fang Yangyang's head, do your job well. In fact, Wu Yuan is used to working alone, and he is really not used to guiding others. Fortunately, apart from Wu Yuan, there were only 3 young doctors in the debate department. Among them, Fang Yangyang belonged to surgery. The other 2 majored in internal medicine, so it was impossible to go to surgery. Days passed by, and it was 2 weeks in a blink of an eye. After Wu Yuan got the establishment, he did not feel any obvious change, but the salary composition did change. In addition to the basic salary, there were also more commissions and bonuses for surgery. However, Wu Yuan has the super doctor system to help him, so the money is nothing to him. On this day, Wu Yuan was a little busy, trying to instruct Fang Yangyang to perform an appendicitis operation. Not to mention, the effect is alright, and Fang Yangyang is indeed a piece of the puzzle. Wu Yuan stood in the second main knife position, and didn't say much. He instructed Fang Yangyang to finish with his eyes alone. Fang Yangyang's confidence increased greatly, and he threatened to have a more difficult operation. Wu Yuan glanced at Fang Yangyang. You should be familiar with operations like appendicitis first. Fang Yangyang was quite unconvinced. How can you do such a difficult operation? Many are things you haven't done before, so you dare to go to the operating table? Wu Yuan, I'm a genius, are you? Fang Yangyang, I. Fang Yangyang is not as thick-skinned as Wu Yuan, and he really can't say something like, I am a genius. Wu Yuan took off his surgical gown, washed his hands, and left the surgery preparation room. Fang Yangyang, a girl, has to be busy for a long time. At this moment, the siren of the ambulance sounded outside. This was a patient, and Wu Yuan hurried out. But when I got to the front desk, I didn't see anyone being pushed forward. I did see an emergency doctor. The emergency doctor's name is Gui Yiping. He has been here several times, and he has known Wu Yuan once and for all. Seeing Gui Yiping's hurried look, Wu Yuan felt strange. Where's the patient? Gui Yiping pulled Wu Yuan and left. Dr. Wu, come with me. Wu Yuan was shocked. I didn't do anything wrong, that is, 2 days ago. No, even if I did something, it wouldn't be your turn to arrest me. Gui Yiping explained, oh, I received an emergency on the way and needed a surgeon. I don't have surgery here. Your hospital is the closest, so I came here, please help. Wu Yuan said, oh, this is to let him be a car emergency doctor. Wu Yuan, is this appropriate? Will it not violate the rules? Gui Yiping, do you have a medical license? Wu Yuan raised his eyebrows, yes. Gui Yiping, are you a surgeon? Wu Yuan raised his eyebrows again, yes. Gui Yiping, then it's over. If you don't die, then it's a violation of the rules. Gui Yiping explained to Wu Yuan further. Any physician, as long as it is regular, is obliged to help perform first aid tasks in specific emergency situations. Wu Yuan had never heard of this before. Wu Yuan, that's fine, give me 1 minute, no, 30 seconds, I'll leave after telling the front desk. So, Wu Yuan ran to the front desk of the emergency department, explained the situation to the 2 little nurses, and followed Gui Yiping into the car. Wu Yuan, where did you call 120? Gui Yiping, it's that suburban film and television base. Wu Yuan was stunned, the film and television base. Isn't that very far? Gui Yiping, that's why you're in a hurry. You're telling the truth, don't the crew have to prepare emergency personnel for filming? Wu Yuan, not a very professional small crew. Wu Yuan and Gui Yiping were chatting in the car, but it wasn't too boring. Because it was carrying out an emergency mission, the ambulance drove very fast and the warning lights were on, so the road was basically unobstructed. The ambulance soon arrived in the suburbs and headed for the film and television base, the so-called Yanming Lake Film and Television Base. Wu Yuan had heard of it in his last life. But never been there, and never had the chance to go. That's where the filming takes place, and it's all actors. It doesn't make sense for ordinary people to go there. But Wu Yuan was really wrong. In fact, Yanming Lake itself is a scenic spot, and the film and television city built there is a scenic spot in the scenic spot. There are many tourists who go there for sightseeing, and most of them come from the imperial capital and Suiyai city. Today is not a day off, and there are fewer tourists, but they can be seen everywhere. The ambulance drove all the way into the film and television city, and when it reached the door and drove in for 50 or 60 meters, I saw a man slamming his hand over there. The man looked anxious, it seemed that the old man was the crew member. The ambulance stopped and the man got in and showed the way. The man's name is Yang Lekang, and he's a drama clerk in the crew. Yang Lekang didn't care about what to say, he sat in the co-pilot seat and pointed all the way, and finally arrived at the location of the crew. Yang Lekang, it's just there, people are there, stop it, stop it. There were many people not far away, as if they were looking around. Wu Yuan and Gui Yiping got out of the car and ran to the crowd. Wu Yuan shouted loudly, let me go, get out of the way. Gui Yiping, what are you doing? Don't focus here, spread out. Give the patient space. When the crowd heard this, they all automatically moved away. I saw a man in a costume lying on the ground, unconscious. His right leg was badly wounded and bloody. There were two other people squatting there, sweating profusely, obviously anxious. Wu Yuan quickly glanced at the man's eyelids and said, "I lost consciousness because of excessive blood loss." Gui Yiping immediately asked the person squatting next to him, "Blood type. Tell me his blood type." The man was about to cry, and replied with a bitter face, "I don't know either. I want to know too. I haven't asked him." Wu Yuan, in the shortest time, explain what happened. The man hesitantly explained. Fortunately, the matter itself is not complicated, and it can be explained clearly in 5 or 6 sentences. The man's name is Zhang Baoqiang, and he is the executive director of the crew. The injured man was an actor, not very well known. I was shooting away a scene just now, and I was going to fly down from a mountain. The mountain was built with broken stones, similar to a rockery. Who would have guessed that the actor had just flied down, and a large rock might not have been stabilized, and it fell down under force, just pressing his legs. People hurriedly ran over to save the person, and finally removed the stone from his leg, which was startled when he saw it. The injury was so serious that no one dared to move, so they quickly called the 120 emergency number. At the beginning, the actor's consciousness was still awake, but gradually it wilted. Zhang Baoqiang realized that he had lost too much blood, and bandaged it indiscriminately, but it still didn't work. "Zhang Baoqiang, 2 doctors, hurry up and give him a blood transfusion. If he really is gone, it will be finished. We can't do it anymore." It is also impossible to blame Zhang Baoqiang for his power. The actor's blood type is currently unknown. Gui Yiping hurriedly asked the nurse to get the blood bag of type O blood from the car. "Anyway, let's top it with universal blood first." The blood bag was returned quickly. But for some reason, Wu Yuan always felt uneasy, as if he had overlooked something. He suddenly thought of something, and hurriedly looked at the bloody wound of the injured actor. Wu Yuan's line of sight suddenly had a special change. It seemed that many values and symbols floated out from the wound. These contents Wu Yuan can understand as a doctor. Wu Yuan was shocked. Oh my god. Seeing that the blood transfusion needle was about to be inserted into the actor's hand, Wu Yuan suddenly held it down. Gui Yiping was stunned. "Dr. Wu, what are you doing? What's wrong?" "Wu Yuan, can't lose type O blood." Gui Yiping, "Why?" "Wu Yuan, he is Rh negative." Gui Yiping was stunned. "Panda blood?" The people around were also confused. Although most people don't know much about medical matters, they have heard of the term Rh negative blood type. It just happened in many movies and TV shows. That's a very rare blood type, known as panda blood. Zhang Baoqiang, can't this kind of blood be used with type O blood? Wu Yuan, no, it will kill people. Zhang Baoqiang was completely panicked. Then, what should I do? It's not the way to drag it on. If he... Gui Yiping, no, that's not right, Dr. Wu, how do you know his blood type? Wu Yuan waved his hand. "Don't worry, my judgment will not be wrong, you have to believe me, he must be Rh negative blood." Although Gui Yiping still has doubts, he is not afraid of 10,000, just in case, if a blood transfusion really kills people, it will be a big trouble. Zhang Baoqiang, then hurry to the hospital always has it, right? Gui Yiping sighed, and I called to ask which hospital had Rh negative blood. Having said that, Gui Yiping went to call. Wu Yuan looked at the injured actor and at the anxious Zhang Baoqiang, but he was also at a loss. Now this situation has caused hemorrhagic shock. Even if Rh negative blood is found and sent to the hospital, there may be no one left. Wu Yuan suddenly said, "Is there no Rh negative blood in your crew?" Zhang Baoqiang suddenly stood up and shouted, "Who is Rh negative blood?" Everyone was at a loss, some shook their heads, some bowed, and some sighed, but no one responded. Zhang Baoqiang said disappointedly, "Everyone in the crew is here, no." Wu Yuan, what about the other crews? Are you the only crew here? Zhang Baoqiang reacted and said loudly, "Xiao Zhao, hurry up and ask the crew of, I am a princess, you don't admire me, who has Rh negative blood. Hurry up, hurry up." So, that little Zhao hurriedly ran away. After a while, Xiao Zhao ran back again, followed by a few people. Zhang Baoqiang was overjoyed when he saw this momentum, and was about to jump up. Is there any? Xiao Zhao, yes, it's her. Zhang Baoqiang saw the person clearly and was stunned. Wu Yuan was also stunned. The person Xiao Zhao pointed to was the big star. The big star who has had a relationship with Wu Yuan, Tang Jianing. Ha! The world is so small. Tang Jianing was also quite surprised when she saw Wu Yuan, and was stunned at the time. But now is not the time to reminisce. Wu Yuan, Teacher Tang. Are you Rh negative blood? Tang Jianing nodded, yes. Wu Yuan, okay, please cooperate and save this person with a blood transfusion. Tang Jianing nodded, okay, I have no problem here. When Gui Yiping saw Tang Jianing, of course, he was instantly stunned. As mentioned before, Tang Jianing is already quite famous at this time, and is basically a well-known girl idol. Gui Yiping, there for a few seconds without letting out a single fart. Wu Yuan quickly reminded, blood, hurry up. Gui Yiping hurriedly prepared the blood collection bag with the nurse in the car. Tang Jianing has shown her wrist. The wrists are very white, like ceramic ones, and they are really beautiful. Gui Yiping hesitated and said to Wu Yuan, Dr. Wu, are you sure this person is really Rh negative? Wu Yuan nodded firmly, don't worry, I'm pretty sure, I have experience in this situation. Gui Yiping murmured in his heart, thinking that he had saved a lot of people, why didn't he have such experience? Is this the so-called trade of a surgeon? Gui Yiping didn't think much of it. During this time, he went to the emergency department affiliated to Yanda University quite frequently. Wu Yuan's reputation has always been very good, and Gui Yiping believed him more. So Gui Yiping instructed the nurse to collect blood for Tang Jianing. At this time, Tang Jianing's assistant Wang Rufang also rushed over. When Wang Rufang saw Wu Yuan, of course she felt incredible, her eyes widened, why are you? Wu Yuan wiped the sweat from his forehead and waved his hand, what you said, I'm a doctor, and it's normal here. Wang Rufang didn't quite believe this statement, no, I don't understand, is this world so small? Wu Yuan, the world is big, but Yanjiang City is very small. Wang Rufang said, oh, and felt that there was some truth to it. At this time, Wang Rufang caught a glimpse of Tang Jianing's blood flowing into the blood bag. Wang Rufang opened her mouth and was about to speak, but was stopped by Tang Jianing's eyes, Fang, it's okay. Wu Yuan paid attention to Tang Jianing while using a tourniquet for the injured actor to stop the bleeding. Tang Jianing's physical fitness is indeed not very good. According to Wu Yuan's observation, the anemia constitution is certain. Tang Jianing has Rh negative blood again, and the risk of collecting blood now is actually very high. Gui Yiping, Mr. Tang, you need to pump 400 milliliters. If you feel any discomfort, you must tell me. Tang Jianing nodded, okay. Wu Yuan, Dr. Gua, 300 milliliters is enough. Gui Yiping was stunned, is it enough? Wu Yuan nodded, enough. Gui Yiping, okay. In fact, 300 milliliters of blood may not be enough, but Wu Yuan felt that at least the actor could be rescued. Wu Yuan added, the collection does not need to be too fast is unbearable. Gui Yiping glanced at Tang Jianing and felt that Wu Yuan was right. Half of the blood was drawn, less than 200 milliliters, and Tang Jianing's mental state was affected. Therefore, Gui Yiping slowed down the speed of blood drawing a little. I just heard Wu Yuan say to the nurse, I need tools for surgery. The nurse responded and hurried to get it. This is incredible. Gui Yiping knew that Wu Yuan was going to do emergency surgery here.